Hi there, David Reynolds here again, and today I'm going to be talking about the Imperial armors in Elder Scrolls Online. So in my last video I talked about the Gold Road expansion and my thoughts of how Zenimaxs has handled them up until now. Well, mainly the Imperials and even a little bit about the lore. So in today's video I'm just going to be talking about, sorry, my throat's a bit iffy because of my cold. But I'm just going to be discussing about the Imperial armors all throughout Elder Scrolls Online. So, right off the bat, we'll discuss the Shields of Sensor as basically starting with the lowest, in my opinion, of the Imperial armors and how they look. I feel they've done a decent job all throughout, which is why the Shields of Sensual is a very surprising addition, because we understand the lore aspects of why not all the Imperial armors look similar, especially when it comes to regions, because that's the lore reason. All different regions have their own different needs. But Sensual, the Shields of Sensual, are a really, really badly done design. And as far as the Khajiit aspect of elsewhere, they don't even really match anything that's like around the area. It's like, why the addition of the weird face covering? Why does it not even hold any Imperial designs on it? It just seems like they abandoned it and have not looked back, which would make sense if they gave us the reason, all the Imperials are, long since deceased. This is just the descendants of them. A lot of them are either Khajiit recruits or, I don't know, have just abandoned their Imperial heritage. At least then it would make sense why the armor looks so different. But nope, there's no real reason for it. It's still being led by an Imperial. A lot of the recruits are Imperial. It's just a different armor for no reason. And you just have to accept it. But going up the ways, we then go to the Cygnus Irregulars. Now, they're kind of going off of a weird... what's the best word for it? I would say a weird armor copycat, because their whole deal is that their armor is basically just the hero of the hour sort of armors, which is a weird choice. So their basic lore is that Erexia Tharn, under orders from Varan Aquilarius, has gone in to try and keep the peace in Rimmon, and she's decided to not do that because she has an army of mercenaries from Nibbin and has decided she's going to rule it, and then decides she's going to rule it with dragons. So, fair enough, her whole lore thing makes sense. But the armor design then becomes, again, like the Shields of Sensual, a weird choice with kind of no reason to it. So, like I was saying, this is just the order of the hour, and the lore behind the order of the hour is that they are Colovians, or mainly based in Kvatch. So Nibonese mercenaries just having the exact same armor as that. I mean, from a lore reason, it makes no sense. From a gameplay reason, they are the only real armor we've seen that isn't just standard Imperial armor. So, fair enough, it was also, the time frame it came out, they hadn't really covered any other armor, like Blackwood hadn't really come out, so there was no Ivory Brigade, which we will cover later. But yeah, they were just going off of, what isn't normal Imperial armor. Oh well, we got the Order of the Hour guys. Let's basically just steal that. Okay? But the Cygnus Irregulars, they're decent, The lore is also a bit iffy on them, because they are meant to be from Imperial soldiers, so why they would just have Order of the Hour armor as well is anyone's guess. But theirs is blue, and no other Imperial soldier or army really has blue, unless you go to Morrowind, but I'd say theirs is more a dark blue. But yeah, it's an appealing armor, and it definitely wins points over the Shields of Sancho, which I keep harkening back to, because it is dog shit. It is dog shit armor that no one wants to come back, and the people that made it have never even attempted to make any armor that looks as bad as that, so I think even the creators were not a big fan of that design. But that's the Cygnus Irregulars. In terms of their lore I could take or leave. The idea of Imperials going against this sort of coup thing, their reasoning just, we don't want to be bad guys, We kind of care about the Khajiit. I don't even think they even really say they care about them. It's just, they just don't want to be part of this coup, which, fair enough. I guess you couldn't leave. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to just leave, but like this, like Erexia Tharn was gonna stop you somehow. Okay, but that's Zenimaxs and its storytelling and whether or not you like it, which, as in my last video, please check it out. But then we move on to the Legion of the West Weald. Now, I wanted to bring this one up in the last video, but it's too long, half an hour, just to make this point. So, Legion of the West Weald. Now, you're probably, like me, wondering why, especially if you watch the Gold Coast reveal, why they didn't just, bring in this armor back again, which you probably also might not have realized that they did actually give an armor to Colovians. And, you're probably also wondering, oh, I wonder if that's going to make a reappearance in the Gold Coast. Because that was the whole point of the Legion of the West Weald. These were Colovians, which is where Skingrad is based. So, why is Skingrad getting this sort of new makeover? You already have the Legion of the West Weald, which are Colovians, which all have their own armors, which we all faced when we played, especially if you played on the Outmeri Dominion side. The Highland Arcanist, Highland Ranger, Ravager, Sentry, they all even had their own general, Centurion, General Lavinia, even the whole point of them was that they were there under false pretenses, Arentia is northern Valenwood, so isn't that where we're back again with the Gold Coast? I guess not. This is a mixed bag for me, because on the one hand, I do want new armor to, gawk at and save and just basically gawk at and enjoy it, it's just building up this Imperial world in our imaginations, so absolutely. You know, I am not gonna stop or diss you on that, but to just completely ignore what you've already done before, it feels weird. You know, like I could understand the approach of oh, this is just the governor of Skingrad's personal forces. You know, these are just the people he has defending and all that. But then you look at clips, and then it's like, no, you're not doing that, are you? Because a lot of the Imperial soldiers that were there have a very similar looking armor to another group. You know, the Ivory Brigade. You know, there were a lot. There was Ivory Brigade armor in that trailer, and I'm just staring at that and just wondering, so you're not gonna reuse the armor that you already used back in the main game. So you're just going to reuse the armor that you used for the Ivory Brigade, who are mainly Nibonese and in Blackwood. How is Blackwood getting to, you know, Skingrad? You don't mind me asking? Especially when they've got, the Order of the Hour right next to them, where it would make even more sense for the Order of the Hour to have more influence. No. Now, look, I am being a bit of a dick here because, it wasn't just the Ivory Brigade that was being ripped off. There was new armor that I could see in that trailer, but it was basically just one, and that was it, Like, even the governor was just wearing standard governor stuff. But whatever. It's not out yet, and I don't want to be one of those guys that's just, oh, this is gonna suck, isn't it? Like, it's not even come out yet, and, I haven't even given it a fair chance. So we will just leave that there. But Legion of the Westweald exists, and it would be nice to see some of that make a return rather than just reusing the Ivory Brigade. That sounds like a good idea. But yeah, that's just them. And then onto the aforementioned Ivory Brigade, which I would say has been a very decent addition. We're not just reusing the Order of the Hour, where it would not make sense for them to have armor that is basically just the Order of the Hour again. And it matches with the Imperial Legion's home motif of where there is a new terrain, we will adapt. And adapt they did. The armor is looking very heavily defensive in the areas where it matters, and it's mobile, which makes sense with the lore, where the Imperial Legion invaded Blackwood and was just immediately getting, well, they invaded, the Black Marsh, apologies, and were realizing, having Imperial heavy armor is a really bad idea with this. So yeah, absolutely loving the idea and loving the designs. Absolutely no faults with it, I don't know. I'm a bit of a dick though. Can I think of any faults? I would say the main one that really comes to mind would probably be no, I think I'm pretty good. There's not really anything major sticking out. Probably just the amount of terrain they hold seems fairly small, and just the idea that there's another faction and they're just fine with it. Like, I get it, they probably make some compromises, but they just seem completely fine with it. You know, just this Argonian faction just right next to them that's also controlling some of their cities, and they're just fine with it. I don't know, that seems a bit weird, but I get it. The main idea was that the big bad is, you know, this former Imperial senator that needs to be put back in his place. So that's fine, whatever. But yeah. I suppose that's really mainly it. There's, of course, you know, Elder Scrolls Legends and their whole take, you know, where they just basically reused a lot of the same armor. But yeah, it's not been a bad thing so far. There's, of course, the Order of the Hour, but their armor's been good as a whole, you know. But yeah, it's all been decent. The one thing, though, there's a bit of a kicker, is the Second Legion. Their handling's been a bit weird for me. I get it, the lore reason, you know. Oh, Varen Aquilarius, he had to make do with what he had to rise up, you know. But it's like, you'd think, after the fact, he would sort of reward them a little bit with, you know, slightly better armor, but no, their armor has been the same since they first helped him retake the throne. So, retake the throne, that doesn't make sense. Since they first helped them take the throne. You can't retake something you never had. But yeah, I mean, it's... The Elder Scrolls has always had a weird interaction with the Imperial Legion and how their armors are represented, you know? And that's just basically just been different ideas, you know? Morrowind's idea was that this was the Roman Legion, you know? Do not look at this as anything else. Even though you look at the lore is very much... these guys kind of have some Asian influences that are never going to be brought up again. Which, good or bad, it's your diet, it's your decision. Then there was Oblivion, their take on the armor, which basically came down to, we watched Lord of the Rings and we liked it. And then there was the further idea of, you know, oh, they're just taking the inspirations from the Bretons. That's why it looks very different from Morrowind. And yeah, people just accepted it, you know. At least Skyblyvion's having fun with it and, you know, making it new. You know, they're basically doing what Bethesda couldn't, making the armor look good, you know. Limitations, but like, there are armor in Oblivion that looked good. Like, you can make it match. Yeah, whatever. Then there was Skyrim, and their armor's been decent as a whole. Which, you know, a little conversation for the comment section. Metatron's video on, you know, the historical evaluation of the Imperial Legion from Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. There's been a lot of points that he brought up that, you know, while decent, some of them, you know, and they're very valid, there has been some points on it that still bug me to this day, that well, for one, no one's challenged, and two, don't really make a lot of sense, especially when you really think about it, which, a little conversation for the group comment section. Should I tackle the video? Throw my own 2 cents on some of his points, especially the points that I don't agree with, but that's for the comment section to decide. As for the moment, we're still discussing the Imperial armor in Skyrim, which I like. Yeah. It was the first game I grew up with, so of course, as an Imperial fan, I would of course want to join. And, I really like the armor and the whole ideas behind it. Sort of a mixture of both Morrowind and Oblivion. Best of both worlds. But yeah, this video is now starting to run a little too long, and it's just basically just been me yapping and talking shit about a lore that I really like. So, I would greatly appreciate your comments, like and subscribe if you want. And I will catch you on the next video. Bye bye.